to talking about the situation with Ohio State. And I know that the Big Ten committee or the athletic directors overturned the minimum games that was needed for Ohio State to win. Backtrack it. They changed the regulation of how many games a team needed to win or play in order to qualify for the Big Ten championship. Okay? Now, I know those watching on YouTube see the Michigan gear that I'm wearing, and I'm trying to be as unbiased towards my team as possible. First off, I saw a lot of people out there saying Michigan was just trying to avoid it. They tried to screw Ohio State. Because the 40 reports of COVID cases in the Michigan program is why we try to escape playing Ohio State, okay? So let me just try and end the discussion right there. Michigan was not trying to avoid playing Ohio State. Knowing the competitor that Harbaugh is, and at least a competitor that a student athlete is, they're not going to sit there and say, oh my God, I don't want to play them. They're going to kill us. Just stop. It doesn't happen. So for people to sit there and try and make that claim that a team would actually want to try and forfeit or wave the white flag, just put that to rest, okay, Ohio State fans? I'm just stop with that, okay? And I can promise you, if the roles were reversed, there's been 121 games canceled. But this is the one game where everyone is trying to say Michigan trying to forfeit or they're scared to play. Just calm down, all right? So let's just end that discussion and throw it to the side. Now, I want to talk about the scenario which Ohio State does not need to play in the Big Ten game. I'm just telling you that right now. They don't need to play against Northwestern. What's a win against Northwestern going to do for their resume? My point I want to make with this is this. The committee came out, the College Football Playoff Committee came out the other day and put Ohio State still at 4, knowing the situation that's happening. Knowing that this is before the Big Ten overturned it and made Ohio State eligible for the Big Ten title game. Okay? So they made the change, and now the committee still put them at 4. They're still at 4. A win against Northwestern doesn't be wow, now Ohio State should be 3 or 2. It doesn't change anything. Don't you get that? And for the people that were trying to say, I want Texas A&M to play against Ohio State. Yeah, A&M wants to play against Ohio State because then if they beat Ohio State, now their resume goes up. Ohio State, you don't need to play anybody. The committee of the playoff, the football playoff committee has shown you that they respect you. Don't you get that? Isn't that hard to understand? Is that hard to understand? If I'm Ryan Day, and I'm not, I'm Ryan Dunne. But if I'm Ryan Day, I'm sitting back I don't need to play anybody. The committee believes in us. Now, people tend to forget this. The week of the Big Ten title game, before the Big Ten committee made the change, Ohio State was still going to play against somebody. They were not going to be in the game, but they were still going to probably play against Wisconsin or something and beat the brakes off them. So, what's the problem that I'm missing? You beat the brakes off Wisconsin or you beat the brakes off Northwestern. A win next week doesn't matter. Ohio State fans, what do you want? Do you want a Big Ten title game or do you want a college football playoff berth? Because let me tell you this right now. You can beat Northwestern all you want. But it doesn't matter if Florida beats Bama. And if Notre Dame loses close to Clemson or beats Clemson. Well, if they beat Clemson, Clemson got to go. They are not worthy of it. There's no way you put a 2-loss team over an undefeated Ohio State. Granted 6 wins. However, you still put Ohio State in. I'm just saying, that's flat out honest. But if Notre Dame goes and plays against Clemson and loses close, and I've said this the whole time, if that happens and then Florida beats Bama, Ohio State's out. I'm sorry. How do you take away Bama? How do you take away Notre Dame, whose only loss is a close loss to Clemson, who they had already beaten earlier in the year? You can't take them out. That's the problem. But, so if you're, first off, Ohio State fans, you're rooting for Bama because they beat Florida. Florida's gone. Florida is out of the picture. A&M is not getting in. Like, there is no way A&M can get in given the situation. They will need chaos. They would need chaos to happen. Because, I mean, the chaos that would have to happen, I can't even think of the time. Like, you would literally have to have Bama beat Florida, and now they're officially out of the picture. You would have to have Clemson beat the brakes off Notre Dame. Now they're out of the picture. That's the only way Ohio State and A&M get in is in that situation, because if you're the committee, it's like, well, A&M, they're still at number. We had them number 5. So Ohio State fans, my point I'm trying to make is this, and I'm just sick and tired of seeing all the hate and I get it's the rivalry, and everyone that wants to like keep those like red X's or like block out the M when they're spelling stuff. Be my guest, like the game's not happening, so the rivalry this year is just not happening. And fans of Ohio State, Michigan understand that the sport loves this rivalry. And I know people want to say, well, it's not a rivalry because Ohio State is beating Michigan. I get all that, but when you look at the history, Ohio State and Michigan is a very classic and traditional rivalry, and you can make the case that it's the biggest rivalry in all sports. People tend to think that if you know the history of the game. But Ohio State, you got Ohio State fans, you guys are fine. Like, you don't need this. Like, what is the end? What do you want? Do you want a Big Ten title win or a national championship win? Like, what do you want? You want one or the other. Yes, you can try and have both. I get that. And you're going to have both. You're going to play Northwestern and probably beat the brakes off them. But a win against Northwestern doesn't do anything for your resume. Why? Because your resume honestly sucks. Oh, you're beating the brakes off teams. Good. These teams suck. Like, Michigan State, terrible. I'm trying to think of all the teams. Penn State, awful. Like, Nebraska, terrible. Like, who have they beaten besides Indiana? That's the only team. And by the way, if I'm Indiana, I'm pissed. Like, my point is this. I did not think it was fair. And I know Ohio State fans are going to grill me for this as whatever they can. But to sit there and change the rules, like, at the end of pretty much at the end of the season, I think it's totally unfair for Big Ten officials to say, you know what, yeah, let's just tweak it. Because at the end of the day, everyone was following the same guidelines. Everybody was following the same guidelines. The Big Ten's just doing this just to give Ohio State a Big Ten title. To do what? Like, I just don't... Why don't people see what I'm seeing? Like, that's all I have to say. Like, they don't need a Big Ten title to make the championship, to make the playoffs, excuse me. They don't need that. They don't need a Big Ten title at all. The committee views them and understands the situation and still puts them as a top 4 team. Why does no one get that? Like, beating Northwestern doesn't do a thing. I'm sorry. Like, it just doesn't do anything. And sooner or later, Ohio State fans will see that, and hopefully everyone will see that, but they're good. They got their wish. You got the Big Ten title game. Congratulations. Now go beat Northwestern like everyone's predicting you to do. Just to be 6-0 and stop saying that Michigan was too scared to play the game, because that's never the case.